Hello, Calaveras County, and welcome to another edition of Mondo Calaveras. I'm your host, Mike Taylor. Happy unusual summer, ladies and gentlemen. This is not normal. Most of 2020 has not been normal. And I'm very thankful to have today's guest with me because hopefully he can shed some normalcy on the disarray that we are all feeling, and that is Sheriff Rick DiBasilio. Sheriff, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
You bet. Now, I want to start first in kind of where we stand with COVID here in Calaveras. And I know you're not the health officer, but you've been in the news a little bit lately because you made some comments about the governor's "you have to wear a mask out in public" order.
Right.
And I'd love to hear your take, and let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, the governor did make an order, and it's twofold. I think that the masks do help. Mm-hmm. I was in the hazardous waste industry well before I was a cop, and I know for personal experience that the masks that we're wearing, these dust masks and the N95 masks, those were designed for sterile environments like in a hospital to keep patients clean. Yeah. They weren't designed to be out in the general public and keep us safe.
Yeah.
That being said, they do help. I'm not discounting that they're going to help. I truly believe that. And I think that people should be wearing them if they're not going to be social distancing to stop the spread of this virus.
Yeah.
I just think that my opinion is that he overstepped his bounds, but reality is we're having an increase, and I know some of that is caused by the uptick in tests that are being done, and the fact that people aren't distancing themselves from each other.
Yeah.
So it's going to transfer, so it's going to happen. There's just a whole lot of issues with it. So I disagree with the way he did it. I don't disagree with the concept. How's that?
Yeah. Okay. And just out of curiosity, here in Calaveras, has law enforcement had calls from people complaining that somebody isn't wearing a mask and they want something done about it, that kind of thing?
Yes. We do get quite a few calls a day because people aren't wearing a mask. And as I stated on Facebook, I'm not the mask police.
Yeah.
I am not going to arrest someone for not wearing a mask. And there's a few reasons for that. One, to me, it's not a criminal issue. I'm taking Billy Bob that owns a business and he's not wearing his mask, and now you want me to arrest him and put him in jail. Yeah. That is ludicrous to even think that that's smart. Let's step back a little bit. When Gov Newsom told me to release all my inmates, not all my inmates, but a lot of inmates, and I released 19 of them, and did not book into jail approximately another 30 to 40 inmates because of him him wanting to stop the spread of coronavirus. I don't have coronavirus in my jail right now, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood.
And hopefully we don't end up with that because our staff is doing a great job at monitoring people when we bring them in. But I got to go back to, I have a governor who's telling me to release people because of COVID, but now I have people wanting me to arrest people for not wearing a mask.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. And these are the same people that, and I'm a First Amendment believer. Everybody knows that. I believe everybody has a right to I don't want to say protest, I think rally and voice their opinions, which they have absolutely the right to do, and I agree with that. But when you tell me I want you to arrest him because he's not wearing a mask, but I can stand on the street corner and disagree with something and not wear a mask, there's a problem with that, and it goes back to what the governor did. He was telling everybody to wear masks, but he hasn't told the people that are protesting or rioting or looting that, hey, you guys need to be wearing a mask.
Yeah.
So I as a Quasimodo politician, I have an issue with that.
Yeah.
And as somebody who needs to protect the people in my county, I have an issue with that.
Touching on the protests, I mean, obviously you can't turn on the dang news and not hear daily.
Right.
This discussion, that discussion, what's happening over there, what's happening here, what's happening there. In my view, we had people from out of the county come up here to protest. That's how it felt. That's how it was presented to us, even on social media. And I won't even go into that rabbit hole, because that's all it is. It's a place you fall into and you don't come out of without your brain going in a million directions, and none of them are clear thought. Excuse me. Do you, incidentally, I will say, as a member of the public, I think your office handled that situation very well. I saw the intersection at Highway 4 and 49 in Angels Camp, and there were a few of the, I don't like to call them protesters either. It's a disinformation use of the word.
It is.
But those folks were here, and about a third of them were maybe wearing masks. Your officers were quite a distance away, just kind of watching and making sure. But where do you and where can your office draw the line at, okay, these are people expressing their opinion, and if they're stepping into traffic to get in, when are they getting in the way? When is their protest becoming a disruption of the peace? That seems like a very difficult line for you folks in law enforcement to walk.
It's really not, if you think about it, because if they're standing on the corner holding their signs and screaming and waving at everybody, that's part of your First Amendment right. They have an absolute right to do that. When you step into traffic, now you're impeding traffic. And that's a vehicle code violation. So if they do that, then they're violating the law. Then we're going to explain to them, you can't impede traffic. If you continue to impede traffic, you can be cited and or arrested. Because depending on what occurs, it's either a misdemeanor or a infraction. So, but the folks that were up there protesting, both Friday and Saturday, were absolutely fantastic. I mean, they did what they wanted to do. They got their word out. Everything was great. We geared way back for Saturday's event. There was a lot less people on Saturday also. But they were very respectful. The two young ladies that put that together, I think, did a really good job. There was some concerns in the beginning, obviously, but we worked that out, and I think they did well. They held to what they said they were going to do, which was at a certain time they were going to try and start weaning people out, which they did. So I think for us in Calaveras County, that demonstration went very well.
And here we are as we film this 2 weeks later, and we have a huge spike in cases of coronavirus across the country. And now I want to kind of step into the Black Lives Matter situation across the country. In my head, your department has had a very good record racially, but that may be because of the racial composition of this county. Do you think that's part of the case too?
I'm sure it has a lot to do with it. Our county is probably 80% white people. There's no doubt about that. But I don't think that we have I think we have racial diversity here still. I don't think we have the racism here. I mean, and I'm not saying there's not racism here, so people believe me when I say that. I know it's here. It's just not flaunted like it is down in the valley. So I think, and I want to put this very clear right now, that what those cops did in Atlanta was wrong. And there is not a good cop out there that will tell you that what they did was wrong.
I'm glad you said that, Sheriff, and I didn't dig it out of you, so to speak, because I think that's how those of us who are thinking about all of this with clearer minds and not so much of the Facebook rumor mill, we see that and we understand that, and we have heard other law enforcement officers say the exact same thing. I guess my question to a law enforcement officer is, how many times do you have to say it before everyone starts to hear you? That's the part that I consider so sad, and that's where my support lands for law enforcement is, my gosh, we know that most of the cops are good, but it's those bad apples that everybody is zooming their lenses in on, and it's, oh my God, look at what happened here, and now it's happening everywhere. Well, no, it's not.
Well, there's some statistics out there, and I wish I'd have known that we were going to talk about this, because I can tell you that there are millions and millions of police contacts throughout this country a day. And the amount of shootings and or use of forces that are not done in a correct manner are very minimal. And you got to understand something too. And I tell this to people all the time. There's bad mechanics out there.
Yeah.
There's bad doctors out there.
Yeah.
You know, there's bad everything out there. But because cops are so much more, I guess, in the limelight
visible
because of what we do. Well, you got to remember, we take people's liberty away.
Yeah.
You know, a doctor may make somebody sicker, and they have killed people in the past.
Yeah.
But we take their liberties away. So we're in a different limelight, I think, than most people, than all people. So when things go bad, they really go bad.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because, again, it makes us good cops not look bad, but it's that one bad apple ruins the whole bunch. And it's unfortunate that these gentlemen did what they did. Those 4 cops did what they did because they were absolutely wrong. That was not a carotid hold. And that's the other issue I have with our governor mandating that my guys cannot use a carotid hold. Think about it. What do MMA fighters use all the time?
All the time.
The carotid hold.
Yep.
Doesn't kill anybody. When Post teaches the carotid hold, they teach the carotid hold. They don't teach a choke hold. So now the governor, again, my opinion, has done a knee-jerk reaction, and they stopped allowing us to use a carotid hold. Now I have a single solo deputy out in the middle of West Point in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And he's fighting for his gun because he's wrestling around with somebody.
Yeah.
And now if he uses that carotid, and for some reason the guy dies, he's going to be in big trouble, and that's wrong. Because the carotid is a less lethal use of force. That's how it's taught. What those cops did in Atlanta was not a carotid. That was a knee on the throat, knee on the neck.
Yeah.
2 different worlds.
Have you had, I guess I'll say, refreshed discussions about all of this in the department?
Oh yeah, we've gone through our policies, and our policies are very current, very up to date. The carotid was something that was allowed, obviously because of what's going on, and there's an assembly bill out there, I think it's 1196, that is, they're trying to get rid of the carotid hold, make it illegal to use, which again is a huge issue. But we're very, I got to tell you, for being Calaveras County, we are very up to date in our policies on use of force, racial discrimination, de-escalation tools that we utilize. So I think we're doing very well, and I don't care who wants to come into our department to look at what we've got, we're good. We're very ready to go for whatever we need.
Do you get that sense from the Calaveras community?
No.
That residents are behind you and support what, that you're doing a good job and you're doing it, I guess, I hate to say correctly because that implies that I know everything that's right. But, do you get that sense from people?
I think overall the support in this county for the sheriff's office and Angels PD included is very good. I think they know we're doing the right thing. Which is to protect them, and our job is to protect the suspects too. I mean, if I have a cop that is using force, excessive force, I don't want that cop in my department. Because that reflects poorly on the rest of the department and the county as a whole. And I don't want that. And I don't believe that we have that in our department, or have we ever. Everybody's going to get use of force questions. The DA oversees those, so if they're exonerated, they're exonerated. But the amount that we get is very, very minimal.
Very small.
Because we typically have de-escalation processes as opposed to...
That's a term that we've heard, it seems like, more in just the past couple of years. And I would think it would be training 101 for a would-be sheriff's deputy or police officer, that the first thing you want to do is take them from a 12 to a 6, and then we can talk about what's going on here.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that are the first things that an officer does when, because I know from law enforcement officers that the worst thing you want to pull up onto is a domestic dispute.
Yeah.
You know, the husband and wife, and I would imagine with COVID and being locked together, they're not only locked together, they're locking horns together.
Yeah.
But what are some of the first things that an officer does when he or she gets to a scene like that?
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, because I was in the academy 18 years plus ago, and the first thing that they teach you is called verbal judo. And it's basically how to talk people down. And that is just something that we do naturally. When I show up and there's two people fighting, hey, calm down, let's see what we got going on.
Yeah.
And your job as a cop is to calm people down so that you can get a handle. Because when people are irate, tempers are flaring.
Yeah,
You can't get a straight answer out of anybody. So our job, the minute we get to any scene, is to calm things down.
Yeah.
So, but that's, again, that's police 101.
Yeah.
That's the main thing that they teach you in the academy. Calm the situation down. Because people, first off, you come in as an authority figure.
Yeah.
So they're hopefully going to respect you.
Yeah.
But once you get their attention, you calm things down.
You calm things down. Yeah. What happens when it doesn't calm down? Because it seems like that's where some of the bad choices get made out in the rest of the law enforcement world, I guess I'll say. And that suspect or would-be defendant, ends up not respecting. And how do you talk that person down who's just not going to hear someone tell him or her what to do?
Every situation is different, Mike.
Yeah.
If I know the person that I'm dealing with, I know things about him, so I'm going to use those in my favor to get him to calm down. If this happens to be somebody who's his first time ever being in the county and he's just not going to go along with the program, I'm going to do everything I can. I'll use your mother, your father, your sister, your brother. Would they want you to be doing this?
Yeah.
Use whatever verbal judo that you have to try and get them to calm down. But when you have people that are on PCP, methamphetamine, or they're on some type of a drug, there's no reasoning with those people sometimes, and that's when you do your job.
That's when this stuff happens.
Yeah,
sadly,
and it is.
It happens both ways too. That's the other thing that I fault our national media with is. We don't hear about that good cop who talked that horrible situation out of existence on a daily basis, but you bet your bottom dollar we're going to hear about that bad apple. So
right, and if you notice, you don't hear a lot of bad stuff going on in Calaveras County because our deputies do such a good job at the verbal judo to get people to comply.
And we don't even hear that in the rumor mill. And I want to come back to this rumor mill, and I call it, incidentally, waste book. I don't call it that other word because I don't think it's about us coming together anymore. It's like Twitter. You only go there to stir a pot and to cause a disruption. But your office recently has been in that rumor mill. We've had a couple of drownings in and around the county, and one of them really blew up on social media. I will say it in a bad way.
Yeah.
And explain that to us, because this was down at Lake Comanche, wasn't it?
Right. There was the rumor on Facebook was, and remember, Facebook is a lot like the game we used to play when we were kids, telephone.
Oh yeah.
People change one word and it changes the whole outcome.
The whole story is gone.
Right. We had a 17-year-old young man who drowned, and the story on Facebook was that a 12-year-old drowned and a 17-year-old was trying to save him, and the sheriff's office wouldn't show up and do anything. And that's absolutely not true.
Oh my gosh.
The 17-year-old drowned, and our deputies show up, and the gentleman's in the water. He hasn't come up. Nobody has a really good pinpoint of where he's at.
Yeah.
Water moves, so we call the dive team. The dive team comes in and recovers the person. So that takes time.
Yeah,
it takes time to get the dive team together. So it's not something, we don't have the dive team standing by. We have 5 lakes in this county that we need to deal with.
Yeah, lots of waterways to
That's right.
cover.
And it's a very unfortunate event, but again, the telephone of Facebook, it changes the story, and that's not how it happened at all. And that's unfortunate. And the problem is, that people start feeding off of that. And then it's terrible.
Is it a little bit of piling on? Oh, good, there's something negative, and I can jump on that because I want to say something negative about law enforcement?
I don't know.
Yeah. The other thing where my brain goes with this is, again, that sort of piling on. And you mentioning telephone is a great example because we've all played that game, whether it's at a party or just among family having a dinner. And it kind of helps teach younger people to listen.
Yeah.
And how do you find that people on social media respond, or do you even engage there? Do you come onto Facebook and say, wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, this is not what happened? Or do you just let them kind of argue and pass their nonsense off over there? I guess I'm asking is, how do you engage when such disinformation is piling up like that?
I've been a sheriff for 3 years, Mike. Yeah. And I think I can honestly tell you that I have engaged with people online maybe 3 times. It's probably more like 2.
Yeah.
I don't engage because, again, people have their opinions. And no matter what I say, if they don't want to agree, they're not going to agree, and then it just continues. So I go on Facebook page. I have my personal Facebook page. I have the sheriff's Facebook page, and I have my sheriff's Rick Sheriff's
department. Yeah.
Well, there's a
your
department,
personal,
and then
yeah.
my personal sheriff's page, and then I have my personal page.
Yeah.
So I get on and I read and I chuckle.
Yeah.
And I let things go. Very rarely do I get on. I got on one time during the campaign when there was something said, and my wife actually got on too because of what was said. But typically I don't engage. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will tell you this, it is a great source of information for me.
I can
It tells
imagine.
me how people think, and I will tell you honestly that probably 80 to 85% of the people support what we do in the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
And the other 15, 20% are the naysayers that are never going to be happy.
Speaking of summertime, sorry we're bouncing around quite a bit, but we're coming into a summertime that is unprecedented. I mean, I would think that our community swimming pools aren't going to be open, so that what I will call neighborhood resource isn't there to go cool off. So yes, maybe we're all going to head to those 5 lakes because we can manage to stay farther apart than we might at the community pool. What do you tell folks as we're coming into this time of year and water safety and that kind of stuff?
Well, water safety, wear your life jackets. Make sure your kids that don't know how to swim, that are under, I think, 12, 13 years old, they can't, make sure they have a life jacket on.
Yeah.
We don't want to deal with the drownings. That's the last thing we want to do.
Yeah.
Boater safety, boater awareness. There's a new law out there that started actually 5 years ago that you have to have a boater driver's license. Basically, it's a...
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, you have to get online to the Boating and Waterways, and you take a test. It takes about 3 to 4 hours to take. It's
Wow, okay.
It's not just a little quickie test.
Yeah.
It's all about boater safety. And if you're under 35, you have to have that test, and you have to have that license.
Wow,
So if you're out on any waterways, whether it's our lakes or Delta or wherever,
Sure.
you have to have this boater driver's license, I'll call it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what they call it. And then every year it bumps the ages up. So by the time I think 25 or 26 comes, everybody will have to have it.
Okay.
But right now it's 35 and under. So you get all these young kids that are buying these jet skis and stuff, and they don't have them. They're getting a citation, but it's not it's a warning.
Yeah.
It's basically go get your boater card and bring it back, and we'll sign the ticket off. I think it costs them $10 for paperwork, 10 or
So it's
15
kind of
bucks.
like a fix-it ticket.
That's all it
on
is.
your car.
That's all it is.
But it's a let's go fix your head.
Right.
Let's go fix your brain and your knowledge.
Yeah. Originally there was a $400 fine
Oh
when
my
they first
gosh.
started doing that, but
Yeah.
they realized that was just a little excessive.
A little punitive. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've taken it back now, and it's basically it's a fix-it ticket. But if you don't take care of it,
Yeah.
then it can get
Then
expensive.
the teeth come out a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then again, if you're out on the waterways and you're going to be socializing, wear your masks.
Wear your mask.
Be safe. And that's the bottom line. You need to protect yourself because you don't know what the other guy's doing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Now, there were also rumors, gosh, this darn rumor mill, that, the county's borders were going to be closed somehow. And that was one of my favorites because I thought, well, wait a minute, why would Calaveras be the only county in the state that would close up like this? But how does something like that even start? It's just crazy.
Well, when all the people started coming up here, when COVID really started coming into play, there was a lot of panic because there was so many people coming up from the valley and from the Bay Area to their second homes, and everybody wanted us to close the highways. Well, I can't legally do that, number one.
No.
Number two, if you own a home, a second home, in the county, you have a legal right to come to it. I cannot stop you from coming there.
Yeah.
So it was a wish that people wanted more than anything, but it's unrealistic. There are so many side roads coming into this county.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine even trying to post a car. No. Even with your nice volunteer staff, you couldn't watch it all.
But it was funny, it wasn't just us. There was other counties that wanted, other cities that wanted to do that too. It's unrealistic, and I won't say it's illegal, but I don't know that you have legal authority to do that.
Yeah. Sheriff, with just our last couple of minutes, what's kind of the message this weird and truly unprecedented summer? What do you kind of send out to folks about keeping themselves safe and healthy and happy?
Well, there's a few things. One, we talked about the water safety. Two, I need people to understand that if there's a business in our county that requires you to wear a mask when you go into their business, they have a legal right to tell you that. Remember that no shirt, no shoes, no service?
Yeah.
Well, no shirt, no shoes, no service, and no mask, no service.
Yeah.
So please don't argue with people. If that business owner doesn't want you in their business without a mask on, put a mask on, please.
Yeah.
It's just being fair is what it is.
Yeah. And considerate of each other,
absolutely.
It seems to me.
Absolutely. And if you don't want to wear a mask, then don't go in the store.
Don't go in the store. It is that easy. It's like changing the channel on the TV.
That's right.
Yeah.
But if people are going to be social, they should be wearing masks. Again, I don't think it's going to stop it, but it's certainly going to slow it down. So they need to do as much as they can.
Yeah.
And just be safe out there. Keep your distance from people. And have a fun, safe summer. And hopefully our fire season stays low. We didn't get to talk much about that, but if you haven't cleaned around your homes, make sure you clean around your homes. We don't want our fire guys working real hard, especially with this COVID stuff.
It is definitely time to make sure the yard is clear.
Absolutely.
And don't mow after
I think about 10
or 11 o'clock. I have seen a rash of that in the past week or so, and it's like, wait a minute, guys, not while the sun is setting, it's right as the sun comes up.
And it's really good. If you walk outside and you see moisture on the ground, you're probably pretty safe. But if it's dry in the mornings, don't mow. It's not worth the problems that could occur.
That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheriff Rick DiBasilio. Rick, I will tell you, you have my support. I appreciate what your department does for this county and the way your officers do it. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have a safe, healthy summer, and we'll see you next time. Until then, enjoy.